Sean, I think it's a very significant today because it's brought together the leaders of what we might call the West to show their solidarity with Ukraine and to work out what more they can do to deter Russian aggression. You can probably hear and see that behind me there is a demonstration in support of Ukraine going on here. Many of the people in that crowd are Ukrainians, and they're here because in the buildings just beyond them, those are the EU summit buildings where EU leaders are going to be meeting with President Biden. And it's been a day choreographed around these top-level summits, the EU, G7, and first today, NATO.
This is not like so many NATO summits of the past. This time they are meeting to decide how to respond to war in Europe. President Biden has flown in to try and keep other NATO leaders focused and united on how to deal with Russia. To strengthen their resolve, President Zelensky had sent out a message from Kiev, unusually in English.
I thank everyone who acts in support of Ukraine, in support of freedom, but the war continues. The acts of terror against peaceful people go on. 1 month already. That long. It breaks my hearts of all Ukrainians and every free person on the planet.
Today, NATO governments promised to send more weapons to Ukrainian forces, and they're moving troops into 4 Eastern European countries, alliance members.
Leaders approved our 4 new battle groups in Bulgaria, Hungary, Romania and Slovakia. These are in addition to the 4 already in the Baltic countries and Poland. So we have 8 multinational NATO battle groups now, from the Baltic Sea to the Black Sea.
This former policy analyst for NATO says it's time to make these deployments permanent bases to protect the alliance's eastern border.
Russia will be a problem for a long time. So NATO has to have a strategy for a long time, and that has to mean permanent bases.
Won't that just annoy the Russians even more?
No, it would show basically that NATO is coming back to its core principal task, which is deterrence and credible defense.
Western leaders now know they can no longer count on old assumptions about security in Europe. The invasion of Ukraine has made them realise that. Andy Bell, 5 News, Brussels.
Well, Ukraine claims to have taken out a key Russian ship which was docked in the south of the country. These pictures are reported to show the landing ship Orsk engulfed in flames and smoke. Another 2 ships were said to be damaged. It's thought Russia was using them to ferry in armour and equipment for its troops. Russian television has released these pictures from inside Mariupol, the city that's been under some of the heaviest bombardment. It appears to show damage to the hospital and the conditions inside. People are still trying to leave every day. Let's then go back to Andy Bell, who's in Brussels at that emergency NATO summit. Are Western leaders agreed on how to help Ukraine, Andy?
Yes, there's been quite a lot of agreement on, for instance, sending more military aid to Ukraine. Among others, the UK government has promised another 6,000 missiles for Ukrainian forces. Britain has been quite in the forefront of providing that sort of weaponry even before the invasion began. And this is what the Prime Minister Boris Johnson has had to say in the last few minutes.
Putin's failure in Ukraine is vital for the peace and prosperity of all of us, and his barbaric invasion has galvanized the international community into collective action. We will work with like-minded allies to ramp up lethal aid to Ukraine at scale, providing kit to President Zelensky in the quantity and with the quality that he needs to defend his country from its bullying neighbour.
Now, the governments here have also been trying to work out how they can increase sanctions to increase the economic pressure on Russia. But there are disagreements. For instance, President Biden wants to see no one buying oil from Russia. Other countries such as Germany are saying that's simply not possible because of the damage such a move would do to the German economy. And I think the danger is the longer this crisis continues, the harder it will be to keep all those governments on the same page.
Indeed. All right, thanks, Andy.